Welcome back. We're going to start looking at Chapter 2 from Wheelock's Latin Grammar, and in this chapter we're going to get into nouns and adjectives. We'll start looking at nouns. Just like in English, nouns in Latin describe a person, place, thing, or idea. In English, the word order and placement indicate how the noun is used, whether it's the subject of the sentence, whether it's the object, or so on. In Latin, the ending of the noun changes to indicate usage. Remember from the last chapter we talked about Latin does not have a set word order, so we can't rely on placement in a sentence when we start to do translations. It all has to do with the endings of the nouns and the adjectives. So we'll take a look and we'll talk about these endings, these inflected forms of nouns, and we call these endings cases. The cases of Latin nouns are called nominative, genitive, dative, accusative, ablative, and vocative. So there are 6 cases in Latin. The first case, the nominative, is used to indicate the subject of a finite verb. So nominatives are the subject of the verb. Genitives are used to show possession. In English, we translate this a lot of times with apostrophe s or with the preposition of. The dative case indicates the indirect object of the verb. Usually this is translated in English with the prepositions either to or for. The accusative case indicates the direct object of the verb. And just like in English, we don't use a preposition when we're trying to indicate the direct object. The ablative case is an adverbial case used to limit or modify a verb. Commonly, we translate this with the prepositions by, with, or from. There are many other ways to translate it as well, but that's kind of the catch-all, by, with, and from. The last of the cases is the vocative. We use the vocative as a direct address to a person or a thing. Adjectives, words to describe a noun or a pronoun, have the exact same cases as nouns. As we list all these cases of a noun or an adjective, we call this a declension. So the first type of nouns and pronouns we'll look at is called the first declension. So this is just a category of nouns based on the endings. Most first declension nouns are feminine in gender. So in Latin, as we'll see, the nouns actually have a gender associated with them. Adjectives can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter in gender. But we'll only see the feminine forms in this chapter. So here are the endings for first declension. You notice we have all 6 cases in the singular and in the plural. So there's 12 endings total. So nominative singular ending is an A, genitive singular AE, dative singular also AE, accusative is AM, ablative is a long A, and vocative is also an A. We get to the plural, AE can also be nominative plural, genitive plural, ARUM, dative plural, IS, accusative plural, AS, ablative plural, IS, and vocative, AE. So you'll notice there is some repetition of cases, but as we translate, most of the time you can tell which case it is. So we notice the 6 cases have both singular and plural forms. The nominative and the genitive singular forms are given in the vocabulary. So our dictionary entry always lists the nominative and the genitive singular forms. What we'll need to do is find a base to which we can add our case endings. And this will look very similar to the process that we used when we did our verbs. So let's look at an example declining a first declension noun. So first thing we need to do is find the base, and we find that by dropping the case ending from the genitive form. And to this base we'll add the endings. So our example noun from the book is porta, portai. So the base is going to be port. So we'll go to that second part of the vocabulary, portai. We'll drop the AE, and that'll give us the base. So there's our declension. So nominative singular, we'd have porta, the gate. Genitive singular, portai, of the gate. Dative singular, portai, to or for the gate. Accusative singular, portam, the gate. Ablative singular, porta, by, with, or from the gate. And then vocative singular, porta, O gate. Then we get to the plural forms. Nominative plural, portae, the gates. Genitive plural, portarum, of the gates. Dative plural, portis, to or for the gates. Accusative plural, portas, the gates. Ablative plural, portis, by, with, or from the gates. And then vocative plural, portae, O gates. Again, you notice there is some repetition, but in practice it's not as confusing as it seems. And let's look at some adjectives. First declension adjectives. Adjectives decline just like nouns. Note that we only know the feminine endings for now. So later on we'll see there are actually masculine and neuter endings as well. Adjectives agree with the nouns that they modify in gender, number, and case. So you'll notice in your book they put the nouns and the adjectives together. So we'll look at them separately here. So for example, our adjective magna, which means great or large. So nominative singular would be magna, genitive singular magni, dative singular magni, accusative singular magnam, ablative singular magna, and vocative singular magna. Then we go to the plural. Nominative plurals magni, genitive plural magnarum, dative plural magnis, accusative plural magnas, ablative plural magnis, and then vocative plural magni. And again, if we had this paired with a noun, we'd go ahead and translate the whole thing. But for brevity here and for the example, we'll just take a look at them separately. A note on gender. Latin nouns have a gender associated with them. They can be either masculine, feminine, or neuter. Most first declension nouns are feminine with a few exceptions. Some words that denote traditional male occupations like agricola, a farmer, nauta, a sailor, and poeta, a poet, are actually masculine. They look feminine, but they're actually masculine. So translation. Now we know a little bit about nouns, so we can translate with a little bit more ease than we could in the first chapter. Just like in chapter 1, always start your translations by looking for the verb and translating it. Next, we need to find a noun in the nominative case to be the subject of the verb. So as you translate the verb, note whether it's singular or plural, so you'll know whether to look for a noun in the nominative singular or nominative plural case. So once you have the verb translated and you have found your subject, go ahead and translate the rest of the words. Note the cases as you do it. And then just rearrange your sentence and put it in a standard English word order. Subject, verb, object. Also note as we went through this that we had to add those definite and indefinite articles in English, the these and the us. Latin lacks those. So as we translate, go ahead and add those in if it makes the sentence flow a little bit more smoothly. So there we have it, a brief overview of Chapter 2, an introduction to nouns, and all the cases associated with it. We took a look at declining nouns. So as you get to that part on your homework, that's what we're looking for is that chart with all of the endings. So until we see you again in Chapter 3, Willete.